What is necessary for people to break the broke mindset that society has kind of trapped people in that keeps them poor?
So I think like people have two sets of resources, right, that they allocate. So they've got time and they've got money.
Yeah.
And so if you look at someone's bank statement and you look at their calendar, you know what their life is. And you can also predict where their life is going to be in X amount of years, right? And so if someone wants to change what their life is going to look like, you have to reallocate where you're investing the resources that you have. And so from a time perspective, people who are poor, in my opinion, spend a lot of time not doing stuff. And that sounds terrible to say, but like at the base level, they're distracted, they're
not doing the right
procrastinating.
stuff.
Right. Well, I would even say not doing anything.
Just distracting them,
Right.
Playing
Just
video games.
Netflix, et cetera, all that stuff, right? So there's like the base is like they don't do anything. They're purely distracting themselves from their current state, which is hard because it's hard to confront reality. If you're like not happy, it's easier to just distract yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Now the level above that is you've got people who are operating, they are working every day, but they're operating in low leverage opportunities, right? So they're doing things that do not give them a lot of return on their time, right? And so it's like I could work, it doesn't matter how many hours I work at McDonald's, like it's very, very difficult to become wealthy there, right? It's just near impossible, right? Mm-hmm. Versus like you could buy a building for $10 million and then sell it to somebody else for $11 million, just get the contract and make $1 million on the exchange. Super high leverage, right? From a time perspective, which is crazy for somebody who doesn't have money to even contemplate something like that. But the only way that happened, and that required no money, is skill, right? And so like that's an example of like it didn't require money to make that money. That's skill that's required to do that. And so first is the time, right? People are not doing stuff with the time that they have, or they're doing low leverage activities with the time they have. And then they're not trying to increase their output per unit time, which means investing in their skill set. So like one of the easiest ways to gain leverage on your time, and when I say leverage, just for everybody, like leverage is the difference between inputs and outputs in a system. So, Archimedes said, if you give me a lever long enough, I can move the world. And so to the same degree, if you have enough skills, you can do anything, right? And so skills give you leverage on your time. So you get more out of each unit of time. So if I'm a master cold caller, I will get more sales and calls booked for the same unit of time than somebody who sucks at it. Same time, more output. Right?
But because they developed a skill at a masterful level.
100%.
Yeah.
And so, and not to sound trite here, but I just like using scenarios. Like if I had taken all the money that I'd spent on coaching, mentorships, courses, workshops, seminars, and put that in the S&P 500 when I, 10 years ago, right? The amount that I would have right now is inconsequential compared to what I currently have. And it's because I invested in something different. So rather than investing in the S&P 500, I invested in the S&P 500. So I took all of the excess cash that I had every single month, and rather than saying like, oh, I'm at a dollar cost average, I'm long-term, I wait 40 years, whatever. I was like, I just don't make enough money. So like I could be the millionaire next door who saves every penny, doesn't go to Starbucks for my entire life, and have $2 million when I'm old, or 8, whatever.
For the last 10 years of my life.
Right, and literally enjoy nothing during that period of time. That doesn't sound like that's not a trade I wanted to make. And so I had a belief that I know I will work hard, and if I'm given the right tools, I will be able to implement them. And so I took all my extra money, and this is kind of, a lot of people might not necessarily agree with me on this, but it worked for me. So I put all of every dollar I had, even went into debt, to get access to communities and mentors and coaching programs and masterminds.
Yes.
And those were the biggest gifts of all. And it wasn't even just like the biggest gifts I got from those wasn't even the education, but it was the perspectives on reality. It was people disproving things that I thought to be true. So I was like, this is the way the world is. And they were like, that's false. Mm-hmm. And my whole paradigm shifted because I had distortions of reality. I thought reality was different than it was. And so right now for people who are poor, it's because they actually don't see reality for what it is. Because the way they see reality, they see making money to be impossible or incredibly difficult, or it's only for a certain select people, not for them, right? And it's just because they literally cannot see it. And so I'm trying to think of an example of when
알렉스 홀모즈의 말처럼 우리가 가진 가장 중요한 자원은 시간과 돈입니다. 하지만 대부분의 사람들이 시간을 어딘가에 투자해야 한다는 생각조차 하지 않아요. 그럼 시간을 어디에 투자해야 할까요? 시간을 가장 효율적으로 쓰는 방법은 바로 무언가를 배우는 거라고 합니다. 시간을 투자해 기술을 배우는 만큼 내 시간이 가지는 가치가 늘어나죠. 주어진 시간을 나에게 투자해 내 시간의 가치를 높이는 것이 핵심입니다. 저는 인생 대부분의 시간을 게임과 유튜브, 넷플릭스 같은 의미 없는 것들로 소비해버렸어요. 만약 그 시간을 나에게 투자했다면 지금처럼 살고 있을까요? 절대 아니겠죠. 하지만 지금이라도 늦지 않았다고 생각합니다. 알렉스 홀모지의 말처럼 지금부터 내게 주어지는 1분, 1초를 소중히 여기고 나에게 투자한다면 내일의 내 시간은 더 큰 가치를 가지게 될 거라고 믿고 있습니다. 그리고 알렉스 홀모지는 그가 가진 돈의 전부를 본인의 성장에 투자했고 그로 인해 큰 성공을 이뤘다고 말했습니다. 그 과정에서 그가 배운 것은 다름 아닌 세상을 보는 시각이었죠. 이 세상은 어떻게 바라보고 어떻게 생각하느냐에 따라 다르게 펼쳐집니다. 대부분의 사람들이 성공하고 큰 부를 거머쥐는 것이 너무나도 어렵고 특별한 사람에게만 주어지는 기회라고 여기죠. 하지만 기회는 언제나 누구에게든 열려 있습니다. 다만 보지 못하고 생각하지 못할 뿐이에요. 뛰어난 사업가 그리고 유명한 유튜버가 특별한 사람이라고 현실을 왜곡해서 인식하면 안 됩니다. 그들은 그저 대부분의 사람들이 보지 못하는 것을 바라봤고 그것을 향해 나아간 것 뿐이에요. 그 후에 특별한 사람이 된 거죠. 특별해서 성공한 게 아니라는 거예요. 내게 주어지는 시간과 돈을 무언가를 배우는 데 투자하세요. 그리고 성공한 사람들과 같은 세상을 바라보세요. 그리고 그들처럼 생각하세요. 그 후에 기회가 찾아옵니다. 지금까지 수신이었습니다.